Okay, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of The Mind Game. She really don't need no introduction, but just for the sake of formalities, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Ms. Harbusky from the Erie School District. I like to refer to her as my Aunt B. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. A little bit about yourself,
Sure.
how you got with the district, where you're at now.
So this is my 33rd year with the Erie School District. I started out as a teacher for 15 years, and then I was a guidance counselor, and then I was a principal, and then human resources, and now I'm the assistant superintendent.
Okay. Before we start to get into anything serious, what part of your career with the Erie School District, I know I would be enjoying the superintendent spot the best, but what part have you enjoyed doing the most throughout your career?
I'm very blessed because I've had a chance to be there for so many years and
Okay.
in so many different positions. I would say one of my favorite positions was the guidance counselor.
Okay.
And I was a guidance counselor at Lincoln and at Deal School.
Okay.
And we talked a lot about character education,
Okay.
helping students with skills that are not necessarily the academics, but behavior and social, emotional, things like that. I really did enjoy that part of my career. Right now, I have a really good opportunity to be in all the schools, work with all the students, the families, the teachers, the administrators, and the board. And so it's been, and the community. It's been a really, really good 3 years. This is my third year as the assistant superintendent.
Okay. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about, Ms. Harbusky, if you would please elaborate on, we've had, different issues and stuff going on in the schools with the safety. What are y'all doing? I know y'all were on TV last week, or probably the week before, talking about the safety issues. What are y'all doing to combat and to make all the parents, most importantly, feel safe about their kids coming to the schools in the area?
Absolutely. I think one of the things across the board and in our country and in our state and in the city of Erie is the safety of our students in our schools so that they feel safe enough to be able to learn and do the best that they can. So there's so many different things that have been going on. Number one, we have a good safety plan in place. And so many different people were part of it. Each building has their plan in place. And so they have safety issues that might occur. They know what to do. They have procedures in place that they would follow. And the biggest thing that I feel is important is being proactive. Being proactive and knowing students, knowing what their needs are, having them build relationships with their teachers, with their administrators, so that they feel comfortable enough to go to someone in case they need something. If they see something that they feel uncomfortable about, they should be able to go to someone, and then we can then support them. One of the other big things that we have in the district this year is we added the app to our website about bullying or about any issues that they may have regarding safety. They can go to that app. They can go and put in what school. If they want to be anonymous, they can, but they can give information that we can then look into and investigate if there are things that again is another proactive way of helping families feel okay about it.
Okay, what other things do y'all have on the table that y'all haven't rolled out yet, if you want to elaborate on, that's coming to go with the safety plan and stuff that y'all already have in place?
Sure. So there's a few different things. One of them is we're hoping, we did receive a grant. So with that one grant, part of it will be to have some programs for students. Again, a proactive approach. Restorative justice or step-by-step. Those are the curriculum pieces that we would use for students to feel safe, work on skills that they need in the classroom, out in the hallways, positive school-wide behavior support, that all of that is in place to feel that the environment is a safe place for students in the school setting.
In the school setting.
Other pieces that we do have a police department, we have behavior specialists, mental health specialists, we have other resources that are available to the students and to the families as they might need some support. Right now, 5 of our schools are community schools, so we have a lot of additional supports in our schools working with families in case they need additional resources.
Yeah, we had Jada on the last show and she talked about that. Now, going forward, I think that there's a reason why you're the assistant superintendent, because I think you've hit on something very, that gets to the core of the problem. If you're proactive in preventing something from happening, more times than not, it's not going to happen. Let's talk about, Mr. Harbusky, the curriculum. I know part of the strategic plan, and one of the things that the state were looking at when they came to Erie was how to get the test scores up from the underperforming schools. What are y'all doing to ensure that that's happening district-wide?
That's a great point. So our strategic plan has 5 different goals, and one of the goals that we're really looking at is the mastery of core courses, which is reading and math, the 2 specifically. And every building has a goal. They have student targets that they're working on. They have educational strategies they're going to use, and then they have the professional development they need. Okay. So every building is looking at that. We are looking right now at pre-K to 5 literacy to get more resources in our schools. All 10 schools doing the same thing for our elementary. Our middle and our high school, again, they're doing the same thing. They're looking at their literacy and their math to really work at getting our students able to read by the time they're in 3rd grade, proficiently reading at 3rd grade, which will gain them some success in the future. Part of the other piece is the electives that we're doing in the career building. We want to give students an opportunity to see all the different careers that are out there, get motivated to say, you know what, I want to do this in life, and then give them the opportunities to be able to do that while they're here in Erie Public Schools.
I was going to wait until the end to go into what I'm getting ready to go into, but you led right into that. I had Gary on a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about how back in wherever, if they had 8 teachers of minority, and now they got 9, some 20, 30 years or whatever later. What are y'all doing, Mr. Harbusky, to recruit minority teachers in the schools? And after you give what you're going to say, then I'm going to jump in on that.
Sounds great. So one of the things we've been doing over the years, we have a diversity committee that has been working and meeting and getting together to talk about how can we recruit a variety of races. And one of the things that we found is that we really need someone in charge of that. So Ken Nixon is our coordinator for that area. But along with that, we also know that the best group of people who know the students in front of them are students that have been in front of us. So one of our things is to try to grow our own. So what we have is, in our middle schools, we have family and consumer science now, where students can learn about taking care of children, cooking, sewing, all of those kind of things that we had put to the wayside. They have those opportunities in middle school. When they get to high school, we have one of the magnet schools is about early childhood education. So if you wanted to be a teacher, we are getting that pathway all set so that if you graduate with us, you will have an opportunity to have 9 college credits to go towards becoming a teacher. And our teaching universities around us are really trying to partner with us to help that, because then our students can become the teachers of our next generation.
In the schools where they came from, I mean, the skill set in America today is divided in 4 parts. You have one part that gets a supplemental income every month, $700 or $800. You have one part that are into the streets, drugs or whatever. You have one part that is in jail, and then the other fourth is the actual workforce in America. So it doesn't matter wherever you go, Erie, California, wherever, there's a limited skilled workforce throughout the whole country. And when you start talking about diversity in the schools as far as teachers are concerned, you don't really have a great talent pool to choose from. So what you're saying and what y'all going to do is the answer to eliminating that problem. And I'm of the firm believer, I mean, yes, I would like to see more diversity in the schools, and that would be great. But if I was a parent today, Ms. Harbusky, and I'm going to say this, I would want the best person qualified, okay? Regardless of race, background, or whatever. I want the best person in that classroom to teach my kid. Now, if they are a minority, so be it. But if not, I want the best person. But to have you sit here before me and tell me that y'all are actually putting steps in place to have the homegrown talent teach from the schools that they graduated from, that's excellent. I think that's all the community can ask for. We couldn't ask for anything more. Are y'all doing anything? Let's change up here. As far as the sports, the academic sports programs and things of that sort within the district, where y'all at with that?
So the Academic Sports League is still in place, and it's more of regional area. It's not specifically one school. So we have both Collegiate Academy and Erie High who have teams. We have a pentathlon, which is in the middle schools that they can start and participate in. Again, that's the extracurricular activities that we have available, but we do have other extracurricular activities as well. Athletics, we have the STEM, we have GEARS programs. We've been working with one of the GEARS programs that's been very successful is the police department coming in and playing basketball with our students in our 10 elementary schools. They've been doing that. So we've been really trying to give our students as many opportunities in as many career areas to see what is something they're interested in, and then really get them to enjoy school, to want to be in school, and to do well in school.
Once again, you're leading into the areas what I want to talk about. Truancy. I'm sitting at the Fight for Burley every day. I'm seeing it hasn't been so much of a problem this year at the beginning, so we'll see how that evolves. But truancy is a big part of a child's education. If they're not in school, they can't get educated. What are y'all doing as far as the truancy programs?
You're absolutely right. I think the awareness and having the opportunity to talk to families this way is wonderful. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Because if you're in school, you'll be able to get the education you need. The most important thing is for us to see that we have, and this is not just Erie, but it's a universal issue of chronic absenteeism. If you miss 18 days of school in a year, that's chronically absent. So the more school days that you're in school, the better you will be able to learn and succeed. So we really want our families to take every effort to be in school. It's so very, very important. The other thing that we've been doing is we're working on trying to get families to realize that, and this is one opportunity. We do have a program with our Blue Coats that have been able to go out with our administrators to say to families, it's really important, you need to know that you must send an excuse. Whenever your child is absent, make sure you send an excuse in. We don't want unexcused absences. That's one of the pieces. And we want to make sure that they're getting every opportunity to be in school. So if there are issues of transportation might be an issue, we have dealt with those situations. We want to be able to help families. We want to know what the issues are of why the student can't come to school, and we want to help them. And using the community school model is really very helpful because many of the community agencies are there to support our schools, and if we know a family is having some type of an issue, they need support, we'll be able to help them.
Okay. With the truancy comes also the involvement, the community involvement, and I know that we have the community schools on board, and they're doing an excellent job with that program. Let's talk about the issues as far as the kids are facing within the families. Are y'all trying to put anything in the future in place to help the families away from school? Because a lot of things, what I'm seeing, the home life, obviously, that's where it starts at. And when you have programs that are in conjunction with the schools for families while they're at home and not in school, seems to helps the kids a lot.
Yes. So the community school model is based on doing that, to have school and home working hand in hand, and the agencies working hand in hand. So of our 16 schools, we have 5. One more is going to be coming very soon. We'll be having one. So that will make 6. So 10 of our schools won't have it yet. But our hope in the future would be that all 16 would have an opportunity to have a community school partnership.
Now the curriculum, let's get back to the curriculum, Ms. Harbusky. Is there anybody within the district that you would say, and you got the broadest light to be able to answer this question, that is standing out as far as maybe creating their own curriculum? Or are y'all getting it mandated by the state as to the curriculum that y'all giving the kids? Or how are y'all doing that?
So the curriculum, you have to have specific areas. So you have to have literacy, math, science, and social studies, and that's coming from the Common Core.
Okay.
So we have Common Core. The electives are the other pieces that you can choose to have different courses
Okay.
in there. And then the career is really a big piece, and the state is looking at careers and technology.
Okay.
And so they give us the regulations and some guidelines.
That's what I wanted to, okay.
Once they give us those guidelines, then we sit down and as a district, we work with our administrators, our teachers, to really look at the curriculum and what would be the needs of our students, but also what are the needs of the region. I can tell you that right now, nurses' assistants in that nursing field is huge.
It's huge.
13 of our graduates last year got jobs right out of school. They graduated from Erie High and they had jobs the next day because of the need in this area for that type of a
Did
job.
they go to any specific programs while they were at Erie High? Let's talk about that.
Yes, they did the Nurses Assistant Program, which is a career in tech, one of our career in tech programs. So we have a variety of career and tech programs, but we also have programs like our magnets, like the one I talked about, early childhood education. We have one maritime. The Maritime Center, our students go to the Maritime in the morning. They might be on a boat. They're learning how to build boats. They are doing all of that in the morning, and in the afternoon they go to Erie High and they take their other core courses.
Good deal.
So we have a lot, and then the Fine Arts program that we have a Collegiate Academy, and we also, of course, have Collegiate Academy, which is the collegiate pathway. So there's a lot of great things happening in Erie Public to support our students and our families.
And I believe that. And which leads right on to another question. Why do you think would be the biggest benefit of a child, per se, in the Erie School District as opposed to a charter school?
The opportunities that we are giving our students now, I feel we are in the right direction of giving them opportunities that they would have not had a few years ago when we were in our budget crisis, as well as because we consolidated our middle schools. So in our middle schools right now, our students are getting computer, they're getting swimming, they're getting family and consumer science, they're getting STEM, they're getting art, music, and gym, as well as their core courses. And in the beautiful schools of Wilson, Strong Vincent, and East High. Really, we haven't had that when we had all of the changes that had to take place when we were closing our schools. It was more, we had to close our schools because of the budget. But the change that took place when we created Erie High, Collegiate Academy as our 2 high schools, and then the 3 middle schools, we are able to give the programming that our students can see. They can see all the different options they have. And then they can say in 8th grade, which they're going this Friday, it's interesting, they're going this week over to Erie High to see what options they have. They're going over to Collegiate Academy to see what options they have there. And then they can start to make a decision on what they'd like to do in their life. And again, before we were just kind of surviving. We were treading water just to stay afloat.
Keep the doors open.
Where I feel the difference is now, why stay with Erie Public is because we're giving those options. And we have additional certifications they can leave with so that they can go right to work. Or if they want to go to college, we are able to give them opportunities so they can get some coursework, that dual enrollment, go and get some coursework so that you have that part of the college done, and then you can finish your school years.
So basically, you know, I know you heard the old adage, every dark cloud has a silver lining, okay? So even through those dark times, coming out of those dark times financially, you can see where it made y'all a much leaner, meaner, productive machine. And that was just a blessing in disguise. Let's talk about you. Do you have any political district aspirations? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Ms. Harbusky?
Well, I love my job right now.
Okay, I'm not trying to get you in trouble.
I am so happy to be able to do the academic side of it and working
Okay.
with families, or working with the schools and the curriculum.
Okay.
And with the families and the students. I was just in a school today and I had such a good hour of going into classrooms and talking to students and giving them encouragement and talking to the teachers and talking to the principals. That, for me, is that support system.
Okay.
So when we talked about what was my favorite job, one of my favorite jobs was a counselor, but I feel like I do that sometimes now by going into the buildings and helping and supporting the real work, which is in those classrooms with our students. So I'm really very happy in my career right now.
Do you see yourself sitting in the top spot?
I do not. I'm a support person. That's my
Your niche.
My niche is helping. And Mr. Polito is very strong in his leadership. And I really enjoy following and being side by side with him in the jobs that I have to do. So I am really.
You know, Ms. Harbusky, there's nothing wrong with being in a support system, in a support role, because I was always told, and I truly believe this, that the best followers, they do make the best leaders, okay? And sometimes people aren't comfortable with being in a leadership role as opposed to a support role. So, I mean, you've done your work here in the district, and you've done a great job. Where would you like to see the district at in 5 years?
I'd love to see all of our pathways really flushed out completely, so students will have an opportunity all the way from the beginning in pre-K, K1, 2, 3, to see all different careers that are out there. Then when they get to middle school, have the opportunities that we're giving them and all the electives that they have. And then when they hit high school, then when they're learning, and they're not going to know right away. I mean, we all don't know right away. We have to try some of this. So giving them a chance to try, but then having that so that when we get to our strategic plan and we say 100% graduation rate, that would be what I would hope in 5 years our students are reading by 3rd grade. They're able to do math and reading proficiently. They're treated fairly and equal, every child, and that they can graduate. And then they have the other piece, which is service learning. They do projects in the community, and they can learn how to be a good citizen in our world.
I think that's more important. Well, not more important, but just as important as the education, you know, producing good quality kids. You know, every city that I've been in, and I've said this before, the homegrown talent that you bring up in the schools, in post-secondary education, and they get an opportunity to stay in the city that they were born and raised in, those are the best citizens that you could possibly produce and want to have within the city that you're living in. And I think that y'all headed in the right direction. It's just a matter of everybody getting on board. The one thing that I want to touch on before we go is the community support. Well, I told Jada this last show that we had. When I was coming up, there was sparingly, and I know you saw this and you saw the rise. Who took the initiative, Ms. Harbusky, to get the community on board like they are coming on board and already on board?
I would say the United.
Was it? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say was it the Barker administration at the end, Mr. Adams, y'all. I mean, what? I came back to Erie 2 years ago, and the most impressive thing is the community support that they're giving to schools. So I'm just curious for myself.
Well, I think when families and the community saw the crisis that we were in, the budget crisis that we were in, and Mr. Badams and the team laid it out. We were transparent. The transparency to say, this is how the district is going. This is how much funding we get. This is where we are and why it's not fair that our children are not getting the things they need. I think that he was asking for help. And when he began to do that, and we saw that in other communities, the United Way was stepping up. Our United Way stepped up. And so I think as we were showing all of the needs that we had, everyone kind of said, we've got to do this together. The
Okay.
future of Erie is in the children, it's in the families.
That's it.
So I think, and it's so great to see it happening,
It's happening.
because
it's happening.
it is. It's very hopeful to the city, to the district, and to our community to see everybody working together and not working in silos, working together for the betterment of the region, of the city of Erie, and of our district.
And it goes without saying that if you don't have to be no genius or no administrator, when you come into these schools, or even if you don't come into these schools, you see the things that the community are providing. I know they have something with on the 24th at the Pfeiffer Burley where they're handing out candy and stuff like that. But just throughout the whole course of the day, when you see the volunteers coming in on all levels, whether it's high school, middle school, elementary school, reading to the kids, just doing anything that the schools need, that's just a real beautiful thing. Real quickly, final thoughts.
Okay, so here's my final thought. I'm putting my HR hat back on.
Okay.
So if anyone out there doesn't have a job at
This is what I'm talking about right here. Go ahead, tell them, Ms. B. Tell them what's going on.
First of all, if you like children, go to our HR department on 21st and Sassafras. We always need teacher assistants. We're always in need of custodians. We're always in need of teachers. If you have a college degree, you can see if you like being a teacher. You can then go back and the possibility of you teaching in our schools. You have so much to give. So consider that if you're even interested and you don't have a job at this time, to go to our 21st and Sassafras to become a teacher or become a teacher's assistant or something else that might be out there.
I mean, that's a beautiful ending to a good show. The pleasure's been all mine. Take heed. You know, people running around talking about that they ain't got no job, they can't find a job. Come to the Erie School District. If you're a qualified candidate, you will get a job. The pleasure's been all mine, Ms. Harbusky, and we'll see y'all again. Thank you.
Thank you.